Now, you may have heard the expression that when all you have is a hammer, all problems look like a nail. And that basically means that when you have a certain tool, you try and use that tool for everything. In this case, we have a 5-axis machine. So the thought process is that I have to cut everything 5-axis. And in a lot of cases, it's really not very efficient to cut everything with 5-axis. This might look like a good example for a 5-axis part, but more than likely you could machine this part a little more efficiently by doing it as 3-axis surface machining. So leaving the part mounted as it is right now, we could actually do a completely different process. What I'm going to do is click on my machine group. I'm going to right click and I'm going to move up to the top to my groups section, and I'm going to tell it to create a new toolpath group. Not a new machine group, a new toolpath group. So that gives me a new toolpath group inside this machine. That means it'll be using the same stock setting, tool setting, and I'll be drawing from the same tool library for the same machine. We're going to create a new set of toolpaths. We're just going to do 3D surface machining so that we can get our 5-axis output to machine this contoured face. Now I am going to change the stock model. If we go into our properties, take a look at our stock setup, you'll see right now it's just described as a cylinder, 5-inch diameter, 5-inch length. If I turn on my display and say OK, you'll see there's the stock model that we're using right now. Let's go back in again. This time, I'm going to turn that display off, and I'm going to tell it that my stock shape will actually be determined from a solid. And I'll select that solid. And it says select an entity. So I'm going to turn on my levels, and you should have a level down here called solid stock model. If you turn that on, then you can pick that solid and OK that. And we'll close our level manager. So that solid will be our stock model. Actually, I'm going to go back to level manager and I'm going to turn off that stock solid, and I'm going to turn on some 3D surface plane geometry. So the idea here is that I want to create a plane on this face, and I just want to machine these surfaces that are not shaped like this outer cone-shaped part. Because the reality is it would be more efficient to turn this blank on a lathe and then put it on the mill and machine this inside cavity section. So we can still use our 5-axis machine for positioning to multiple sides and then doing 3-axis machining. This is referred to as 3+2 machining, or sometimes they call it 2+3, because you're doing a 2-axis tilt of the 5-axis machine and then doing a 3-axis surface machining. Now we need to create some kind of a plane for the face that we're going to machine. Now I could easily create a plane from the front. I could set my tool plane to front and then pick my surfaces. But it doesn't have to be to the front. You might want to tilt it in a way that, again, tilts the tool holder away from the table. And that's kind of what I have right here. Is I created some geometry off of the solid model. I got a line here that kind of runs at an angle on that face, and another one that just goes across those two edges. And we're going to use those to create a tilted plane for the face that we're going to machine. So I'm going to go to Planes by Geometry, and I'm going to turn off my shading to make it easier to pick, and I'm going to pick that line, and I'm going to pick this line. Now you want to make sure that your z-axis is pointing out, your x-axis is pointing to the right, and your y-axis is pointing up towards the part. If you see that, then OK it. If not, flip through the other choices. Now we can name this view if we want to. We can change the coordinates. I'm just going to hit OK. So you should have a WCS set to top and a tool plane set to the new view. Now I'm also going to go take a look in WCS View Manager. I'm going to click on that new view. It's actually done a zero shift. I don't want that. I want 0 to stay at the same place for a 5-axis machine. So I'm going to change the 0 coordinates for that to 0. Again, my WCS is top. My tool and construction plane is set to my new view.